hopefully this really shines some light on what you can do in Lightroom to help you go towards the style you want or find your style. So I think it starts with a simple color theory. We won't go over color theory in total. I've done plenty of videos on that, but just little examples where color theory is used in editing. So a very common situation is you want to remove a color in your images. So you don't just want to reduce the saturation of that color, but what you can do is just add in its opposite color. So this just requires a very light understanding of color theory. Push in the opposite color is removing another color, and that color you're pushing in, you might not even see that color at all, but that's just how colors are balanced within Lightroom, and that will play out multiple times editing a photo. You want to remove a color, but to do that you have to add in its opposite color, and we want to understand the opposite colors for 3 pairs: red and cyan, purple and green, and blue and yellow. There are 6 we want to memorize. If you add in purple, it's not going to make your orange skin tones purple, it's just going to make them more red because that's in between them in the color wheel. And then if you add green to your orange skin tones, it's going to make your orange skin tones a little more yellow. Most people would think they would come off a bit green. So I think basics of color theory like that is just absolutely essential if you're trying to push your photos in any direction of a style. There's a lot of color mixing going on between the tools, and you need to know how they influence each other. And if you change your calibration, you're also changing all your HSL. The oranges are affecting like all her skin tone, or the reds is only her lips. So you can actually change how this works. So let's go a little this way. And now let's look at the reds. It's affecting like her cheek now, and that was not happening before. Her entire skin tone was just oranges, but now, since we did the primary, some of it is reds now, and this is like helping white balance. Like, white balance isn't perfect sometimes. And if you do an S curve in the curves, you can start placing colors where you want in the image: midtones, highlights, shadows. Do this in the curves, it adds it into the entire image, and now it's even more targeted. See how thin that line is now? These colors are clashing, these colors are making new colors. A lot of these beginners get tripped up, like they overly rely on split toning because it's simple, where they should be using the curves. Another thing similar to the curves in understanding color, I used to think, and I think a lot of other people think this as well, you think you can do everything in split toning and HSL. I used to think, well, if I've got every shade of red in the slider. I used to think that, but you don't. I was like, if I just play with the sliders, I will be able to eventually get the color of, say, this person's greens I'm trying to imitate. But that's not true. And then I thought, what if I add some like orange into the shadows and then move the orange up here? I would get this unique tone of orange. But you don't get that. You have to use the curves. So that comes back to the curves. I thought I could recreate any color, any person's style by staying away from the curves and just focusing on HSL, so hue, saturation, and luminance, and split toning. But you simply can't, and you have to be using curves to get 98% of people's style. And the reason that is because curves is so much more precise. It's so like drastically more precise than split toning, and split toning affects your entire image a lot. For example, orange in the shadows, it is adding orange to my entire image, and then say we do something in the curves, we can just add the tiniest bit of red, or if we wanted, we could only put it in the darkest of darkest areas. if that's what we wanted to do. Curves here, so we've got the red, green and blue channels, and like I said before, digital colors are all made up of a combination of red, green and blue, so they're giving us these curves here. And then if we look at the red, green and blue on our color wheel, you can see that they are equally spaced apart. So now we can mix colors and go anywhere around the color wheel. These curves are like parameters, they're boundaries. It boxes in your adjustments here, okay? So you can't brighten. If you bring down your curves here, let's bring down the exposure. Histogram here, you can't make anything brighter past that point. So the curves contain your adjustments of the sliders, you can think of it like that. So it's the same with the black point. So if you lift the black point, you're gonna get a fade. And no matter how dark you make your image, you can't make anything darker than this point here. So curves is super intimidating. You're probably staying away from them, especially beginners hate the curves. People buy presets for the curves because they play such an important role. But once you learn the curves, you'll learn to love them once you get a good understanding on how they work. I've got lots of in-depth free trainings on how they work, but they're really key to your style. So right here you can see the different styles. If you want cinematic, if you want film. So my point is, don't stay shy away from curves, and just hopefully these examples sort of helps you realize what sort of curve for whatever style you're after. Okay, so you can DM me over on Instagram the style you want. Now I've got such a catalog of styles now, I can just quickly, you need these curves, you need these kind of sliders, and catch you in the next one.